This is Real to Real Podcast. Real stories, real sports. And here's your host, Wube Gabre.
Welcome to season 3 of Real to Real. Another great guest. I've been waiting for this guest for a couple years. Like I told him off camera, man. I've been a huge fan since he was at Virginia Tech in Blacksburg, Virginia. But he grew up in Hawaii. He's a Hawaii native. He went to Bethel High School. He's a graduate of Bethel High School 1067. He went to Virginia Tech, played for the legendary head coach Frank Beamer. First Team All ACC. He was a third-round draft pick by the Buffalo Bills. Also a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Played a season in Canada at the with the CFL, and he's currently the defensive ends coach up in Richmond at University of Richmond. Man, look, man, appreciate you doing this. Mr. Chris Ellis on Real to Real. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing well, brother. How about yourself?
Yeah, man. We're gonna go down memory lane a little bit with you, man. You know, start back. I mentioned you from Hawaii. Many people look at that as a postcard, bro. Every time we see Hawaii, it's water and mountains and all kinds of good stuff. So just tell people who've never been there and never experienced what was it like to be born and raised in Hawaii.
If you can swim, you're good to go. You're gonna find
Yeah.
it's a relatively small island. Like Pops was in the Army, Moms was in the Navy, so they met up there in DC. You know, just starting their careers in the service. She got stationed out there, I believe, right around that Ross Perot era, out there a little bit before '85, and he was chasing her. He said he'll re-enlist for 6 more years if they'll send him to Hawaii. So they found a way to get 6 more out of him, but. I went back out there actually in 2011 after finishing up with Pittsburgh, and man, it was amazing. I mean, obviously it's one of the 50 states, but you know, you out there with the natives and the people. You know, it's a humbling experience, and obviously it's gorgeous. So, if it's something that's on your bucket list, it's definitely worth going out there and seeing and tapping in with the people out there. It's an interesting experience. But I was glad I had a chance to go back. I told Pops he could have left me out there.
I'm sure, bro. I'm sure. So when you move east, man, you come to Hampton, Newport News area on the peninsula. About what time were you when you what age were you when you moved to Hampton?
It was pretty early. I think they were just finishing up their tour out there. So the summer '85, like my birthday will be Saturday. So about 3, 4, 5 months after that, summer '85, we pulled up back in Newport News where he got stationed. Started working at the shipyard. Moms, I don't know if anybody, if they've been around Newport News, then they know we used to be Spiegel, Newport News Inc. when the magazine used to be out. So she worked at the printing shop there. Pops worked at the shipyard. And that was the life going up in Newport News, right up there off of James River.
Yep. And then you go to Bethel High, play football and basketball there for Coach Bruin and Coach Tracy Parker, right?
He's actually over there at Smithfield High now.
Huh?
He's the head coach over there at Smithfield High now, so I'm still.
Oh yeah, he sure is. Yep. Talk about that, man. You come to Bethel. I mean, you know when you everybody knows about Hampton and even Phoebus, but you get to Bethel. They had a couple of championships, with Bubba Chuck and back when in the 70s. But just talk about when you got to Bethel. What was it like when you got to Bethel High?
Man, it was love. I mean, obviously, I didn't hit a growth spurt now. Coming out of 8th grade, I'm probably about 6'1", 6'2" at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So I jumped up there. They won't let me about to walk around those hallways long. Coach Inco, Coach Jonathan Dean, he's over there at CNU now as the strength coach. He went to Bethel as well, was on the Iverson team. And so him just getting into coaching, finishing up at JMU, he kind of tapped in with me, played the same position. So a lot of my early teaching as far as the position defensive end came from him. But grinding with Coach Parker, his family being from Smithfield, my dad's family being from Smithfield, there was some tie-in there.
Yeah.
And then, the legendary Coach Bruin, man, he's still putting in that work there. So
still working.
Bruin was that guy that kind of established that coaching aspect of it as far as the demand and the standard. He had plans as far as what you were going to not only do for the team, but also just bring you along as a young gentleman, a young black man. So, he was instrumental in that part of just, with that iron fist. Everybody knows we went to a Bethel game. You remember them church shoes smacking it half court and violence, but it was all for the purpose, man. He gets nothing but love and respect. I still go back and tap in with him, man. He's one of my favorite and best coaches for my career in any sport, just because of the standard he set and the foundation he laid.
Man, I hear that a lot from a lot of former players, and you're right, man. He'd be like a half court stomping, bro. Like getting somebody's attention, whether it's the referee, the players, whatever, man. He might as well put a jersey on as far as he go out there. But yeah, Breon, great guy. He's still hanging in there at Bethel. He's still the basketball head coach. You play your 4 years at, you graduate from Bethel, and what's the mindset on college, man? I mean, like I told you off camera, we're gonna get into your college days in a minute, but that 757 era, around the time you were coming out of Bethel was huge, bro. Like, was that part of the influence to go to Tech in state? What other schools were offering you, and what was your final decision on why you went to Virginia Tech?
Yeah, man, I actually picked up pretty fast. So, like I said, hitting the Grossberg, it wasn't really much JV. I did a little JV, and then I'm playing we play JV Saturdays. But if I played it, I'm on the sideline Fridays, Saturdays with the varsity team. Just getting that exposure, getting that experience out there. And so it jumped off pretty quick for me as far as that. And then obviously get on the field, doing some things naturally and developing, having Coach Dean's help as far as developing position, things started to take off. So I'm starting to get recruited and offered it as a sophomore.
Yeah.
So it's turning up fast. I didn't have a sounding board for it. Pops never went to school. Mom never went to college. Didn't have anybody in my extended family who had ever went and graduated college at that point. So there was no sounding board, no real avenue that I was familiar with at that. So just taking it all in, man, putting in the hard work as it pertains to athletics. My pops looked at it, and I did too. It was a dream of mine to play in the NFL, but obviously looked at it as just a way out and a different way of income for the family, honestly, that we had never experienced. And so just that as a motivation is what drove me a lot of those early years. But as the attention kind of grew, now we're in the 11th grade. Now you got a name around there. I mean, the early years of watching Boba Chuck at Darling Stadium, and then we following up with Duke, and then Ronald Curry coming through doing his thing where you can't even stay in the room only, at Darling Stadium. So
you know that
the gate for real. But having that hype around there, 757 was no strangers, even on our side of the water. With Aaron Brooks and all those guys, they were no strangers to guys making it out.
Right.
So just using that for motivation. So now I'm junior, senior year, the attention's coming. Jimmy Williams actually came from Hampton at the time. He transferred over. Yep. He's got a lot of the juice at that point, and now Tech is really strong following Michael Vick's year. So not only on a national stage is Tech strong, but then defensively, with Bud Foster as a defensive coordinator, they were hella strong. So, business decision-wise, being recruited by Michigan State, having offers from Florida all up and down the East Coast, even as far as like UCLA, business-wise, it just didn't even make sense because of what they were doing right up the road out there. And it was such a mindset to really go out there and eat, make a name for yourself. And it was like, now we're on TV, we get Thursday night games. Like the exposure really at that time was nothing like it. So playing with guys, from around the area, from the DJ Parkers to the Xavier Deebeys, Vince Hall, we played against each other. Later on in high school, I've already played Gerard Mayo. You know what I'm saying? I played against these cats growing up in the Pee Wee Leagues, the White Thomas and the Bethel Bruins, all the Aberdeen. And so playing against each other wasn't unfamiliar. But now to get a chance to play together while everybody's making a name for yourself, Phoebus is winning championships. I mean, whatever a perfect storm is, that's what that's why I associated it with, and shit, we rolled with it from there, and made out of it what we could have.
I mean, you did, man. Like I said, that was just. I mean, you look on that field, bro. It's just not only the state of Virginia, but just 757 guys littered all over the roster. You were one of the best defensive players to come out of there. You went to 4 bowl games, the sugar and the orange. Top 10 ranking most of your career. Into the Sandman, I gotta ask you, man, what was that whole experience like? Because like you said, those Thursday night games, bro, it was just brought chills to everybody. I didn't even go to Virginia Tech, and I'm watching y'all on TV. What was that whole when you coming through Into the Sandman? I heard so many stories about it, but what was it like truly coming through that tunnel?
Yeah, I ain't listening to no rock music and nothing like that.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Everybody, I'm not a rock guy either, but
then when you get out there with the culture and you got 75,000, they all on the same page, and you're balling. And, so you make a play to get things jumped off, or you got a big team coming in there, already nationally ranked. The standard's already set. The stage is already set. There ain't nothing else out there but football. So you got the town next to you, up and down 81, and everybody's locked in. So that thing gets rolling, and them fans get to jumping, and you come in behind the student section. So the student section is all old bleachers, 10 bleachers. So when they get to jumping, I mean, it's been multiple nights in there, days too, where it's literally vibrating. because of the noise, the way it traps in the noise. They got the Sandman playing. Everybody's on the same page. It's the only thing I can equate it to, and I ain't been no wrestler, but the way they come out and all that, like all the tension comes to that. And so, whatever, setting that stage right there and just having that night in and night out and working yourself to be a part of the reason that they out there jumping like that's a feeling you're not going to experience too many times in life. So that was obviously a blessing.
Like when you were there, did you know that you guys were making a mark for the area? Like, because like I said, so many guys from this area, and the guys you looked up to and played against and played with in high school were going there too. Did you know that you were making that mark, for the 757 in terms of like other guys that might follow you there?
It's funny you said that because we actually did, man. I remember, and everybody's getting recruited at this point. Like, DB can go to Tennessee.
Yep.
Vince was at North Carolina. Like, everybody's ready to sign their own different places. But like I said, we've been balling against each other. We know of each other. Like, I remember we were talking on the phone. We actually all got on the phone. This before social media and everybody got cell phones. You got to call the crib. You got to call the house phone.
Right.
But getting in touch with like Vince and the DB, we're all on like three-way. You know what I'm saying?
Right, for sure. Three-way was huge. Yeah.
Yeah, like what it needs to look like what we trying to do. We all got respect for each other's games, and so like the setup is already there. The defense is already balling, and so for us to come out of the state the way we did, it was intentional. We all went there. We could have went other places. We're going other places. Vince was almost signed to North Carolina.
Damn, I didn't know that. Yeah.
DB just came off a visit from Tennessee, so like guys were spreading thin and ready to make other moves, but. What better than one, do it in your state, two, do it with people that you respect and ball against and now with, to where, it was intentional to have a representation and a swagger, just for the state, because that's how we were living at the time. Like, guys, not from an ego standpoint, but just from a balling standpoint. Like, all your hard work paid off. Why not do it right up here up the road? At that point, we had national recognition, but we hadn't done it like that yet. So just to put our stamp on it, it's something we took personal, serious, and I think it showed on the field, honestly.
Oh yeah, for sure. It definitely showed. He showed intensity. It showed pride. He showed a lot of aggression on that defense. Speaking of defense, bro, talk about Bud Foster. You mentioned him earlier. And again, like I'm a fan too, looking at him on TV. Never had a chance to meet him, but what was it like playing for him? He had a lot of intensity too. He just retired a few years ago, but what was it like as his as he was your defensive coordinator in college?
Yeah, it was reminiscent. It was easy for me. It was reminiscent to Coach Bruin. Like the intensity, what's to be expected. You gonna know the mission, so you're not about to be confused. And he'll tell you quick. This is why I brought you here. I brought you here for this. He's not trying to handcuff you. If you're as good as what I think you are and you think you are, you better come out here and ball. And that was the plan. He was the first one that really put like a battery pack in our back and just like cut us loose. So at the time, if it was top 25 in Virginia, Tech was getting top 12, top 15 in the whole state in a freshman class. So we redshirted my whole class. So it's just youngsters with energy on campus.
Yeah. And
like we're really the scout team. We redshirted essentially a whole defense that came in that year. So it's a scout team against the offense. We're going against Kevin Jones and Ernest Wilford, Jake Grove, all these guys who balling, but we ain't spit it out. You know what I mean?
Right,
like we out there, a couple scuffles, like they had to respect us off the gate. Even though we some youngsters out there, we coming here to take somebody's job, and that was the attitude. But that also built the competition and kind of set the stage for one, we on their head, and then two, they're standing for when whoever comes in here next, the Tyrons, the Cam Chancellors, so on and so forth. So. I think that is something that specifically with Bud, he thrived off of. Like, he went and got dogs like that. And had that mindset. You said this your dream? Let me come here and see if you can do it. You know what I mean? And he used to cut us loose. And it showed.
Yeah, you could tell everybody was just being themselves, and playing, playing. You could tell everybody was playing the right way and being themselves. What about Coach Beamer? What was he like?
Coach was cool, man. He was like granddad of the uncle, man. He really his coach's coach, which was a good part. You don't see that a lot from head coaches, just from whether it's a visibility standpoint or an ego standpoint, to where he let them do their thing. So we didn't even really see him on the defensive side. I mean, obviously game day and special teams and all that, but he let Bud do his thing. So he really had us in the bubble. But the biggest thing about Beans was, just for the most part, he was letting guys be themselves and express themselves. Everybody really had a desire to make a name for themselves and make it. He was able to bottle all that up for 4 years that we were there to get out of it what we got out of it. And so not really stifling us for the most part. I mean, he had to pull us back a couple times because, you know what I mean? We started to feel ourselves a little bit, but like for the most part, that's what he was designing. And he had the patience being older man. He had the patience to like let it slow down and let it come to him. So, he was a catalyst in that. But that's where he was really good at, in my opinion.
Yeah. Coach Beam, a legend, man. First team All ACC, bro. Your last year in college. Talk to me about the draft process. Were you being told a certain position in the draft, or did it come as a surprise you with third round pick, or just talk about after your playing days were over at Tech, the draft process?
Yeah, that process picked up. Now you're starting to get, your now all your hard work starting to match your dream. You know what I mean? When you're sitting there watching football in the '90s and your favorite team and your favorite player. Now all that hard work, 4 summers straight at Virginia Tech and all that is getting to the point to where you're about to realize that and put make that tangible.
Yep.
And so with that, man, the draft process was a lot because it's the business of football, but it was enjoyable as well because now all those dreams are coming true and to fruition. And so just that process as a whole, I was lucky enough to have some OGs to kind of kick me some game on what it would look like, just like a former Virginia Tech legend with Cornell Brown. He actually came in.
Cornell Brown, yeah.
He's from out there in the western part of Virginia. But he came in probably my sophomore year, and that's what really was a turning point for me. Hell, I knew the playbook. I put on a little weight now, got a little strength on me, but he helped me see the position for one, and then also introduced me to like, now it's getting into the business of what you do. Now it ain't just hanging in the locker room with 18 and 22-year-olds. Now this is how you're going to make your ends meet. This is how you're going to accomplish your dream. This is how you're going to make, set your family up a little bit after this. And so for him just having that experience, he'd been in the league 8 years, won a Super Bowl with Baltimore.
Yep.
That's some insight that everybody don't get. And so he made that process a lot smoother. I mean, the combine was what it was. Like some of it's a little too much for me as far as the measuring and all that. That's
I'm sure. Yeah.
In my opinion. But going through it, watching other guys around the country at the top of their game and all that, you really get to see that you're getting a smaller, and that group really shrinking. That's what they talk about, like the 1%, that eventually you'd have made it to even earn into this position. And then now to be in that group, was just a blessing. But that was definitely coming to that process. I mean, hell, I'd had 2 shoulder surgeries in college, so that's what the slide was, in my opinion, as far as to the third round. But I knew it was second, third round. That was what I was projected to come.
So it happens, and like you said, it's only a 1% of people in the population to get an opportunity to experience that. When you hear your name called, man, what are some of the emotions? I know you're probably thinking like I said, when you first started playing Little League and the dream was to get to that highest level. You hear your name called, man. Again, not all of us get a chance to experience that. You know what I mean? So what's going through your mind when you hear your name called, from the commissioner?
Honestly, like the first thing was just like, damn, I was able to move my family generation. To be honest with you, like that was as it got closer to that and understand the financial literacy part of it.
Right.
Like it's all coming in. Like, you're gonna hear your name called at some point, but like when it actually happened, and that there's gonna be some conversation to follow. It was just a proud feeling and a pride feeling from like, damn, all right, my granddad in the service, truck driver, like pops bringing at the shipyard in the Army, and like to move the generation one like that. I feel like I was able to make a lot of people that either weren't there at the time, just let them pass, and the ones that were there at the time, proud to just move the needle a little bit for our family. And so I was overwhelmed with that immediately. And then as it tapered down, I got a chance to settle my thoughts a little bit and get a little bit of time to myself. It was just, really just a pride and for myself, just being proud of how far I've come and the sacrifices that obviously had to be made to get to that point. Because, I couldn't have done it on my own. A lot of people taking me to practice, supplementing what I need here and there. And so, we found a way to make it work. But everybody pitched in, I felt like, I did my part and helped my end of the bargain. So it was just, just great, really.
I'm sure it was, bro. I'm sure it was. You get to Buffalo. I'm gonna ask you some questions about the Buffalo fans later on, but you get to Buffalo. They got passionate fans. What's when you get to Buffalo? How you get training camp and all that good stuff as a rookie. So when you get to when you actually get to the playing part of it, once your emotions have got through all your emotions, what was that whole thing like?
Now you get up there and really see why it's the 1%. Like
Right,
everybody,
right, for sure.
how sorry you think they are, they're good at something. That's why they up.
Right.
So now this is the true competition. You're not just getting through a Tuesday or just past, like every day is a competition because they're looking to really replace you for cheaper. That's the business aspect of it. So you learn that quick. You know what I mean? Also, it's May and it's still snowing in Buffalo. So I wasn't ready for none of that. Like that, well, that'll wake you up quick. You know,
For sure. I know.
It's May and it's still snow on the ground. It ain't going nowhere. So that was a game changer, you know, a little bit as far as that. But you really start to hone in on your craft, you know what I mean, as far as like the sacrifice and everything you put into it. But now you're part of the 1%. So every day you either trying to take somebody's job or somebody trying to take yours.
Your job.
Not in a personal way as much as it is making sure you're on top of your shit.
You've been and
I can't cut.
No, you good. You good.
Yeah.
That's how I know. That's how I know you passionate about it, bro. That's how I know you passionate about it. You play a few years there, and then you come to a 757 guy, Mike Tomlin. You play for the Steelers for a couple years. What was that whole relationship like? I read where you knew him going to some of his camps with Carl Francis, so you had the relationship, you know, with him in terms of you have some familiarity with him. So what was that like going to Pittsburgh?
Man, it was a blessing in disguise, honestly, because so my original coach, Dick Duran, who drafted me in Buffalo, they were rotating coaches at that point. They fired him in 2009. Now we get Chan Gailey coming from Georgia Tech, college coach. Trying to bring the college style to pro, which is not a thing, you know what I mean? It doesn't work that way. Chan didn't draft me, so that's where I ended up getting traded and moving on to Pittsburgh. So leaving a good coach in Dick Duran, but the business of it, not winning enough to get you out of there, right? Bringing in a coach that is not necessarily your style. We moved to a 3-4. I'm a stand-up backer now. Not that I can't do it, but like now adjustments need to be made, weight-wise, ability, training-wise, everything. And so being the fact that he didn't draft me, you got your own picks, own ideas, defensive coordinators, coaches bringing their own guys. And so it was a blessing to just, one, see how they did it in Buffalo, and then when you get to Pittsburgh, watching a guy who at this point has already accomplished 2 Super Bowls and we're headed to a third, I see why. Like you get to see the pedigree difference and why he's successful, and why he's had nothing but winning seasons, and why, you know, he's respected around the league. So yes, knowing him from a hometown 757 standpoint, being proud of each other in that regard, but also now we at work and this is what it looks like and this is the standard and this is how we moving forward. It makes so much sense why he had so much success. And then coming to a defensive coordinator like legendary defensive coordinator like Dick LeBeau. He made a lot of things very clear. You know, the calmness in which he was able to coach because he believed in what he was doing. He wasn't a yeller, didn't have to scream. It was an older team. And so just being able to sit back and still a young guy in the league, but watch all these vets do their thing, it was, you know, it was comforting and reconfirming that one, you're in the right place, you're right where you're supposed to be. But then two, you know, there's another way to do it. You know, the football industry is so built with like you almost gotta talk down to play. That's the nature of the industry versus so much respect was there because guys have everybody on the team to the coaches have been so accomplished that you talk to people, you know, you talk across. And so that's something that I picked up and it has translated into my coaching style, honestly. But being around them legends, you had everything from like Kiesel to James Harrison, Woodley, you got Palomalu, you got Bo, you got Lawrence Timmons. Like you got guys
they loaded
are selling at the highest level and not just like gonna be Hall of Famers. So being able to be on that trip and kind of watch it, now you're getting into the 1% of the 1%. You know what I mean? And it was a special time, and then make that Super Bowl run the way we did. You know, it was like again, it was just a blessing to be around it and see success and how it can be done, and it don't have to be done in a stereotypical way that's shown often.
And I saw what Tomlin said. He didn't owe you any favors. He liked you coming out of college. They just weren't able to draft you, and you still were able to make your way over to Pittsburgh. Let me ask you, man. After that, was that what you say?
That's the first thing he told me when I got there.
Yeah, I read that. Yeah,
don't work. I said, I ain't never asked for none, so I appreciate it. But that just makes the 757 mentality anyway. Everybody coming from family members in the shipyard, you got to get it how you live. So you know, just him letting me know straight up, like this ain't I can't afford to just have a guy on the roster just to have him on the roster because that's bad business for me. So respecting my talent, him letting me know off GP, and then also being able to have a place for me there just showed a mutual respect there that obviously meant a lot.
Yeah, that's why Tomlin a real one, man. He's a great dude. After that, man, you go to Canada. I mean, the rules are a little different, but it's still football, right? So,
Right?
what was your experience like in Canada after Pittsburgh?
Canada was love, man. Again, I went to another old place out there in Saskatchewan. It's like 6 hours north of Montana. So
Yeah,
Montana's almost in Canada anyway. And then you go 6
right,
hours.
right.
You're damn near up there with Santa Claus. So, like when it snowed at Halloween, I think they're almost June. So
For real?
yeah. But football wise, I mean, it's rugby rules. They add to it, so the game is a little bit more exciting towards like the end of the game if it's close. There's so many different ways you can change the
Right.
score. Just having the opportunity to go up there and experience, a different style ball, kind of extend the career a little bit, was a blessing as well. And then just be out of America for a little bit, be out the country and see the way they did things, which was a little different. I appreciated, kind of the way they got down as well. So just that exposure to the world was a big blessing as well, just to be able to get out at such a young age. At this point, I'm probably 25, 6, so still young enough to absorb it in that way. And was lucky to do that as well, but I had that third shoulder surgery. I was like, it's not this for me, buddy.
Injuries, bro. Injuries. But I mean,
Yeah, it won't
Canada
pay
got
enough.
Canada got some nice spots though. I've been to Toronto and I heard Vancouver was nice. Montreal, all them spots up there. You know what I mean?
Vancouver is a win.
We ain't gonna get into We ain't gonna get into Vancouver. It's nice, boy. It's nice. Oh, it's nice. Hey, so you talked a little bit about I mean, you had so many great coaches to learn from, but when did coaching start developing in your mind? You know what I'm saying? And during your playing days, I mean, or did it develop after you were done playing?
Yeah, there wasn't never a goal of mine specifically. I had all my eggs in one basket. It was to play in the NFL, so that was really the only mentality for me.
Right.
Young man all the way up. But I'll say I've had some good coaches, so all those
for sure.
skills and philosophy stuck with me. But I think it was really with Dick Geron, like watching the way he was able to orchestrate a defense like that without having to do the stereotypical yelling and the demeaning he was able to just talk to you in a way that I saw he was able to reach people and get more out of them.
Right.
I mean, these are grown men with families, already accomplished, got a bunch of money, but yet he had their attention.
Right.
So, my nature has always been able to be, I guess, more or less like around people, more or less the younger generation. Once you've done something, for me, instinctually, is to, pass it on and reach back for somebody younger than you. And so, just with that being, for me in my core, football is a natural carryover. But it was really watching him, the way he was able to grab a room and have people accomplished or not, locked in and attention to him. And that's where I got the comment, teach them early, what I learned late. That's just something that I wish I'd have known at that age. And how do you galvanize, young men around that to something that they can use before it's too late. And so that was after I got a lot of that thought process in Canada. Like I said, a lot of time alone out there. Ain't much shaking in Saskatchewan, but that was a natural progression for me. And I had an opportunity through the NFLPA to do an internship in coaching. And so they kind of set that up, and I got the bug with it. I still talk to a lot of those guys this day. And so just that alone, leaving things better than you found it is always big to me. So that was just a natural progression for me, and it kind of took off from there.
And you moved your way up, man. You got Frostburg State, which is Division III school, seeing you right in your hometown. You went up to New Hampshire, then came back to seeing you, I believe, and then actually coached back in the CFL, and now you at U of R. So you moved up just like you did in football in terms of the levels. Now you're at a Division I school at U of R, man. So just talk about your role at U of R right now.
Oh man, personally, it's kind of like I said, to be able to tap in with some of these young men, they got a great opportunity out here, man. I mean, even coming from the 7-5, we know the University of Richmond, but if you ain't never really been out here, because it's private school, it's stuck between three neighborhoods, you wouldn't even see it or know it exists.
Nope, small school.
Come out here and to see a level of education like that, I almost get a little jealous because we won't get it like that, in high school or even in college. So it shows the opportunity these young men have to where I can tap in with them. They're thinkers, I play a lot of them in chess. They like to give me their opinion, have debates, and so you can really tap into kind of how they see the world and how they're absorbing the world. So, just my role here, obviously, we're trying to win, championships and make them, good to great football players. But just really tapping into them as a whole outside of football, I think is what they appreciate the most. And so when you got I got a good group of young men in my room to where, they lock in with me, right? And so giving them that same respect and finding out what they're into and what they're trying to get done in this world, and you bridge that gap to see you can help them in the system in that way. And so my role, personally, is kind of facilitate that and encourage that, and alongside that, have a little success.
And you got another Bethel grad down the road at William and Mary trying to take that title from you, Mike London. So I know y'all have battles with William and Mary. It was a pretty good game at your place last year. So yeah, for sure. All right, man. This been great, bro. We're gonna end it with this segment called Keeping It Real. I just throw some quick hitters at you. We're gonna have some fun with it. You ready for it? All right, let's do it. You had over 20 sacks in your career. I watched some highlights on you before we did this, bro. And you an animal, bro, on the field. What's the one sack that stands out of all the sacks you had? Do you think to yourself, yeah, that was probably the best sack or best play I made?
It didn't even get rewarded. That's the bad part. We lost that night. You know what I mean? But like I said, Thursday night game, money on the table, senior year. I'm going against the first round, what ended up being a first round draft pick in Gosman Chairlist for Boston College, and then I'm going against Matt Ryan as well.
Yeah, Matt Ryan. I remember that. Oh, I remember that game, bro.
So Heisman candidate, like all the chips on the table. If you can play, you should be able to play at this level. Like showing up in that game and then having a sack and a bunch of hits on him. There was a lot of tension in that game as well. A lot of scouts at the game, and so that kind of set the bar, obviously, for as far as like my best thing, as far as competition wise, to see these guys again. Yeah. And so that was a big night right there. It didn't come with no win, but it would probably have to be also that if I had to come with a win, it'd be the Louisville game, hitting that quarterback, kind of turn the ball over, and we were able to get that win out of the Gator Bowl.
Yeah, that was my favorite, the Clemson one, the strip.
Oh, okay.
The ball, that fumble. Yeah,
you did do a little work right there.
You lay homeboy out on that one. So you lay him. All right, look, man. Born and raised in Hawaii, right? So when you go back, what's the one thing you gotta get to eat? Because I know they got some good food out in Hawaii. When you go to Hawaii, what's the one thing you got to get to eat when you go out there?
Man, I don't even eat pork. Man, so they do a thing over there where they like roast a pig underground on top of like lava rocks. So that thing.
What? Oh, okay.
So they heat up the lava rocks, and that's your conventional oven. They dig underground through the lava rocks on banana leaf. That thing come out tender. If I was there with backslide, it's probably gonna be out there. It's probably gonna be out there, man. They gotta they hold it down out there as far as
the cuisine. Yeah.
A little bit everywhere. They hold it down.
Are you you mentioned you played in Buffalo, man. Give me your craziest Buffalo fan moment that you personally had. Anything crazy out there from the fans of Buffalo?
Yeah, man. So it's cold, but they don't care because they live there, right? So the parking lot got nothing but burn barrels. They got fires going.
I see that.
Right? So man, you got guys in here with no shirts on. Like they got us. Like I'm pulling up to the stadium 3 hours before. They already there. Campers, RVs. And man, it's really just people out there with no damn clothing, like no shirt, drinking a beer with a burn barrel, waiting for you to get to the game. And so just watching people like engage as close as the college atmosphere as you're gonna get in the pro level. And so just watching people tapped in like that much. I mean, what y'all see now in Buffalo, obviously with all the winning they're doing now, they've been doing that.
They've been doing that.
Even when we were losing, they were doing that. So
yeah, I heard it was a great fan base. Win or lose, they gonna ride with you for sure.
Locked in like that in the parking lot. They got kids out there and everything.
The whole fam out there.
Everybody. So that's probably the craziest thing, just pulling up the games and watching the dedication. Yeah. Day in and day out, you just really get to see the vibe of the city as far as it pertains to what you do with football.
For sure. All right, I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit on this one, man. I mean, it's just having fun at debate. Your best Virginia Tech defensive players of all time. You can just give me 5. Give me a few. It don't have to necessarily be the best ever, but just either the guys you played with or saw.
I'm gonna give you my best because
I know you.
We be talking about this in the chat still.
I know you do. I'm sure.
But it go down from Corey Moore, defensive end.
Right.
Cornell Brown, defensive end.
Yep.
Stud. Like baller. Like whatever you thought I did, they did it 3 times.
Cool. Yeah, both. I can't. Nobody can argue with those two for sure.
For sure. You got I got to say, like, I ain't biased because I played with him, but I've seen it from a first-hand standpoint.
That's what I'm saying.
17, 18, Jimmy Williams, man. They ain't got to give that boy his credit. But
Who's that, Jimmy Williams? Oh, yeah.
He don't
for sure.
unanimous American at Virginia Tech. Everybody else is consensus. Mike Vick, Jake Grove, Corey Moore, all them are consensus. That's 4 out of 5. Jimmy got 5 out of 5 All-American votes.
I agree, man. People don't give us props, bro, for sure.
Like, we pushing as alumni. We're like, y'all doing that wrong. Y'all got to figure that part of it out. Him, man.
Oh, he was the truth.
As a guy. It's a guy. Can't leave out because he the only reason we win. That ain't nothing wrong. Like Mike Vick, like that's what got the stage what it is today. Once him on TV, be electric the way he is, and then be from the crib right up the street, playing in the same stadium you grew up playing in. That's hands down. But
that's what I'm saying.
My favorite is Vince Hall, bro. Vince Hall is like
tackling machine, and I'm still mad he didn't get a shot at the league too, man. I mean,
he messed his knee up bowl game week.
Is that what it was?
For draft and all of that, he was actually up there with me in Buffalo for a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, he was rocking with me for like 2 months, maybe 3 months in Buffalo in like 08.
Okay.
We were kicking it, but seeing him day in and day out,
oh man,
what he did for our defense, and like his numbers went off the chart as far as like his stature and all that. But like if you just turn on film, bro, he played. When we started playing as a freshman, he had like 90 tackles, and every year after that, he had 100. Like I don't think you're gonna find nobody at that time. If you just watch the practice film, what he was able to do when he knew the coverages, he was getting us straight on the front and then running sideline to sideline. Man, Vince Hall, bro.
Vince Hall was that guy. He was that dude, man.
Favorite player to watch.
Crazy because it was him and the DB, right, at linebacker.
Yeah, DB had all the the stats.
Yeah, exactly.
And all that.
Yeah,
but Vince was just ball. Like, he instinctual as hell and would get the job done. You don't end up with tackles by accident.
Oh man, he was the guy for sure.
Me because I didn't seen it so much.
Oh, I know. That's a good list though, man. You can't argue with that list. I thought you might hurt some feelings on that list, but you can't.
I was gonna be hurt, but I ain't wrong.
All right, look, man. Album you can listen to with no skips. You just let it ride.
Oh, straight through?
Straight through.
I got an old head as far as music. Like an old head. Like all my stuff. Without pump straight through, no skips.
No skips.
Ooh, that Big L, Big Picture, like 1990. Oh?
Who's that?
That Big L, Big Picture.
Yeah. Oh.
1994. Oh.
I'm glad nobody be talking about, man, come on, bro. Come on.
I already know who I'm talking to if they don't know who I'm talking about.
Let that ride. You can let that ride, bro.
That Big Picture, bro.
Yes.
You don't need to hit nothing. Just let that.
You just let it go. Let it go. Yeah. That's a good one. I ain't heard nobody say that. That's a good one.
They ain't alone.
They don't know. They don't know about it. You
gotta know what you're listening to. That was when you had to spit.
Yeah. Man, that's how I know you a real hip hop head. You said Big L. That's a good one. Last one, Coach. You kind of mentioned it, but if you could elaborate, as a coach, what's your message? I know you said, teach them early what you learned late, but what's your overall message to a kid? If you're trying to recruit them or just trying to pump them up and get them coached up, what's your one thing that you kind of hang your hat on and put in your back pocket?
Be who you said you told me you were, or you trying to be.
Yep.
Which is the discipline of doing a little bit of that every day. I mean, everybody got an idea in their mind about what they're trying to be or what they want to be or what they wish they was, but you don't have to do none of that. All you got to do is put the little steps together, stepping in that direction, So that's how, especially being a young man, you get off your track a little bit and you got to get real back in. But as you finding your way, just make sure you're taking steps and you being accountable for who you said you want to be, especially as a young man, a young black man. So, all that's going to add up for you. You know what I mean? Yeah. So as you get derailed and you get off a little bit, well, what did you tell me you wanted? You know what I mean? And I can always tap into that motivation if they're being honest with themselves. And that's where it originally got to start. Biggest thing, being honest with yourself, and this is what you want out of it. I can't guarantee it's going to happen, but I can guarantee if you're not taking steps in that direction, you don't have to even worry about that happening. And so it's just more or less of taking a little, little steps, baby steps each day in the direction of what you want out of life. Because only you going to design that.
That's a good. And real quick, by you playing in the NFL, how much more credibility do you get by giving that message? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So for young men who have that aspiration, obviously there's a lock-in aspect.
Right.
It's tough to listen to people who have never done it.
Right. Exactly.
They can tell you what they think what they think they know, what they want, what they wish they did themselves.
Right.
And that's no diss to anybody who.
Oh no, it's just real.
Obviously, anything in life, if you're hearing it from somebody who's actually walked them steps, that has to carry a certain weight with it. And I don't even really throw that out there much as I'd rather let the players come to that realization themselves, and then we can actually talk. Because other than that, I'm just talking at you versus to you. So, it does hold some weight, and that's the accountability on my part to make sure I'm walking steps that they can follow, you know what I'm saying, or at least lean on when times get tough or they feel like they're not sure about themselves, right? And so the biggest thing there is, like, teach them early without learning later. I made mistakes along the way as well, so you can do it that way, but this gonna come with it. And if you ain't willing to deal with what comes with it, you should probably, lean off that a little bit.
For sure.
And so that's the biggest thing, just bringing it full circle for them. I give them the good and the bad. It's easy to talk about the good, you know what I mean? But they got to know what's going to come with it if they get caught slipping or they trying to, burn the candle at both ends, as I like to say.
But look, I know I've heard a lot of people say you humble, man. I know. Look, like I said, I mentioned that Clemson game. I'm a little older than you, but I still was a fan of you, bro. Like, man, we're going to just seeing all you 757 guys go to Tech. I said, Chris Ellis, guy from Bethel. I always say Bethel High, Hampton, Virginia. That's when my antennas went up because we live in Hampton now too. So, man, look, I've been a huge fan, man. I appreciate you doing this, bro. I know you're busy, man, and you fit me in your schedule, man. I really appreciate this, bro.
No, that's all I love, bro. I appreciate the platform to actually talk. You know what I'm saying? Straight up, one, and then also just for our community and where we come from.
Yes, sir.
It's gonna tap in. Somebody gonna hear it that needed to hear it. That's the biggest thing. So,
and that's the main thing. I want people to hear this story, man. Your grind, where you came from. And now you're doing positive things at the college level, man. So I appreciate you, man. I'll let you know when it's post, bro. I'm going to let everybody so they can watch this, man.
No doubt, bro.
My man, appreciate it, bro.